Today we're working on a 2007 Chevy Tahoe with a 5.3 liter. Customer complaint is the service Stabilitrak light comes on, so we're going to dig into that and see what we can find. So first off, I pulled trouble codes. I did a whole system scan. The engine light is not currently on, but it has stored codes for 172, 175, fuel system, rich, bank 1 and 2. So we want to keep that in the back of our minds. We have a body control module for the battery, not really concerned about that. Driver door switch, nothing in there really sticks out. Passenger door switch, again, nothing really sticks out. We'll keep these in mind. Lost communication with the body control modules. We'll just keep those in the back of our minds. Not really worried about that at the moment. The SRS system, not really worried about any of those. And then we have the electronic brake control module. Now this is directly related to the service Stabilitrak or Stabilitrak system, and this could cause that light to come on. So let's look up this code. This is where we'll start. I was able to locate this TSB for this code, and it says that the C0561 will set the Stabilitrak light, so that's good. That's what we were thinking. But it also says right here, address DTCs in all modules before trying to address the DTC C0561 in the brake control module. If there are DTCs in other modules, it can set this DTC in the brake control module, making the Stabilitrak light come on. So it's possible that our Stabilitrak light could be caused by the rich condition in the engine control module. So doing a quick search on that DTC for the EBCM, it's possible that the engine codes actually running rich could cause that code for the brake module to set. So let's actually, instead of focusing on that brake control module code, let's switch gears and focus on the fuel trims. Why are they running rich? So I have some engine data here. The ambient air temperature is 46. That's about right. It's pretty cold out. Baro looks good. Engine coolant temperature, that's about right. But look at our fuel trims. Our long terms are negative 24 and 26. Those are pretty pegged, so this engine is cutting back a lot of fuel to keep it stoichiometric, to keep it happy. It has to cut back a lot. We're in closed loop. Map sensor looks good. Mass airflow, I'll have to check if that number looks good, but for a V8, I imagine that's good at idle. And then our short term, we're still in the negative. It's not crazy, but our long term and short term, something's happening to make this rich. So it's cutting back on fuel. Why? Let's dig into that and find out. We have codes for both banks. So now, proceeding with the diagnostics, we want to think about things that can affect the fuel trims on both banks, 1 and 2. Knowing this is a flex fuel vehicle, before I get under the hood and start poking around with things, I'm going to just check one more thing with my scan tool while I'm in here. I pull up a PID for the fuel alcohol content. And we can see it says it's 61%, and that number shouldn't be more than 15%. So we need to know, is it really 61%? The best way to do this would be to pull a fuel sample, measure the alcohol content. I don't have that ability, so we're gonna find another way to figure this out. Now, talking to the customer, they do use just regular unleaded fuel, which can have up to 10% alcohol. So 61% is obviously incorrect. The first easy thing to do on this is to reset the learned alcohol content. The customer says that it's regular gasoline, not E85. Because I don't have the fuel testing equipment, I'm just gonna take their word for it. And let's go ahead and reset this. So we go into actuation tests, fuel system, fuel composition reset. Now engine off. You click it, and that's it. Procedure complete. So now let's go back and take a look at our long-term, short-term fuel trims and the alcohol content as well. So now that we've reset the fuel alcohol content learned value, we can see that now it believes it's at 3.14, which is more likely. And you can see our long-term and short-term dropped considerably. They're still in the negative, but definitely well below their 20 plus correction. So this is actually acceptable, being -3, -6. The short term, it's still somewhat in the negative, but much improved compared to the previous numbers that we were looking at. Now, I have not cleared any of the codes as of yet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clear the codes, take it for a good test drive, see if anything comes back. Took it for a pretty good test drive, and this is where the fuel trims have settled out. Our long term is -3, -6. Fuel alcohol content is still at 3.14, much better than the 61%. What I'm going to do, at least with this vehicle, is give it back to the customer, let them drive it. The EBCM, let me go back. EBCM. So we still have a code for the impact sensor for the SRS. Not worried about that. The EBCM right here, there's no codes. We can go ahead and enter just to verify that no codes came back. So it's interesting that an engine fault code, or engine drivability really, can cause a Stabilitrak light to come on. So I guess this was less of a Stabilitrak diagnostics and more of a engine running rich diagnostics, but maybe it can be helpful. If you have a Stabilitrak code, look to see if you have any other DTCs in the engine. If the engine drivability, if it's running poor, has misfires or what have you, that can affect and trickle over into the traction control. So just something to think about, something to keep in mind. In this case, the running rich ended up being the computer thought there was more alcohol in the fuel than there really was. Once we corrected what the computer thought, relearned it, now that issue has gone away. Well, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to give it back to the customer. If the check engine light comes back on, we'll continue this diagnostics, but as for now, no codes are coming back. All right, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.